We're fortunate to have two CDFW employees here with us to present on this topic. Richard Munoz, who is the Fishing in the City coordinator in our Northern California region, and Brian Young, who is the Fishing in the City coordinator for our Southern region. To give you a little bit of background on the speakers, Richard, for the past 2.5 years, Richard has been the Fishing in the City coordinator here in Sacramento. Prior to this position, Richard enjoyed 7 years at Hollister Hills State Park, where he kind of shared his love of nature and cultural history with dirt bike and ATV riders and 4x4 enthusiasts. Brian Young grew up in the East Bay during the 70s and 80s and developed a love for the outdoors from his parents and through Boy Scouts, a lot of camping, hiking, fishing, backpacking, and shooting sports. He joined CDFW in 2000 and became the Region 5 Fishing in the City coordinator in 2005. So I'm going to have Richard and Brian bring up their screens, have them pop up here. There they are. All right. Thanks for joining. So thanks, Brian and Richard. We're going for being here today and sharing your experiences and expertise. We're going to kick it off with Richard first with his presentation, and he'll give you a little bit more background on himself. So take it away, Richard.
All right. Thank you. Hola a todos y mi gente. Me llamo Ricardo. Soy de Sacramento. Hello, everyone. My name is Richard Munoz. I'm coming at you from Sacramento and the ancestral lands of the Nisenan people. I'm honored to be here with you. Thanks for spending time. I even put on a collared shirt, buttoned it up. I haven't worn one of these in years. So this is, wanted to do this for you all. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you for giving us your time. Among other things, I am a Chicano man, a father, a husband. I'm an outdoor enthusiast, an angler, and an activist and advocate for social and environmental justice. And the reason I mention those is those will kind of thread along a series of stories that I will be presenting to you today about some of the ways that fishing has impacted my life and shaped my identity as I've grown. So thank you again. I want kind of 3 things I want to cover: finding places to fish. I want to talk about identifying online resources to help you improve your skills or enhance your skills, and provide you all a space to explore your identity and how your connection to the outdoors is shaped, or that identity is shaped by your connection to the outdoors. So thank you. Again, I got a series of stories I'm going to share with you. I'm going to pull up the first one right now. Give me 1 second, and let me know if there's any issues with sound. Here we go. Okay. So if for some reason you can't see this, let me know. So thank you again. I'm going to jump right into this. So as we get into this first story, some thoughts I want you to consider, and put these are question prompts that please put them in the chat. And as you see the story, what lessons about fishing can you pull out of this story? And then what is fishing all about for you? What is it that draws you to this recreation, this sport? And we'll explore that more.
I remember being a kid and going fishing for the first time. I couldn't wait. I wanted to have the feeling of catching a fish. I was kind of nervous, and I wondered if I would do it right. That's why I was so happy to go as a family with people I knew and loved. After my dad showed me some basic casting, rigged me up, got me ready to go, I was so excited to get my line in the water and catch a fish. It didn't take long for me to face my first challenge. But by making sure that I asked for help, I kept the dream alive. It didn't take me much longer to face my second challenge. I hadn't been there very long,
What are you looking at, ducks?
and the excitement had worn off completely. I began to understand that day what fishing is really all about.
That was a beneficial story for you. That was my son who I recruited to bring this together. But again, think about those questions. What is fishing all about for you? And what lessons maybe you could pull out of that story? Because I know that first experience with me fishing helped shape my future with fishing. So we're gonna jump right into this next, finding places to fish. And hopefully this is edifying for you. Hopefully this is helps you to kind of sharpen your skills. But it's broken down into 3 methods and 3 moods. Could be attitudes, but I like the alliteration, so I went with moods. First one is try a place out. That's the method. And the mood is be ready. The second one is ask a friend and be down, like be willing to try it. And the third one is searching the internet and be flexible. So we're gonna jump right into this first one. Try a place out and be ready. So one time I was driving down, this was in Southern California. I had a couple of my kids with me, and I had my rod and reel and my little tackle box in the back of my ride. And we came across a spot off the side of the freeway that looked promising to go fishing. So I pulled over. You know, I was ready. I had everything I needed, and I wanted to try this place out. Knew nothing about it, didn't search it, just saw it. So, and this is what I came to. This barren wasteland, more or less, but wasn't what I was hoping for. Definitely wasn't a good stop to fish. But we had a good time. We looked for frogs in the cracks, spent 30 minutes there, and broke up the monotony of the ride. The same time, the same strategy, I was trying to place out, and I was ready. I came to this. A lot better spot to fish, and it was pleasant. It was nice. So second one is ask a friend. Ask a friend and be down. What I mean by be down is be willing to try it. I had a buddy who I asked for a good fishing spot, and I was going to the coast, and he's a professional, I guess I would say, angler. Goes out in a boat for days and weeks at a time, and he sent me to something that looked pretty similar to this, and it was crazy. So it wasn't what I was looking for. It wasn't what I was prepared for, but I was down. I wanted to at least give it a try, and so I asked a buddy. Another time, I asked a buddy about where to go. I was going to near Bishop, so he sent me to June Lake. This place, gorgeous, right? He sent me this amazing place. He showed me where to stand on the shore. He showed me where to, or what to. I asked him what size hook, what kind of bait, you know, everything. I'm learned from my previous mistake, so I got this. I got it in detail what I wanted to do. So I get there, and it was this beautiful place. We get our line in, and the fish pretty much laughed at my bait, and I could see them swimming around it. And it was a wonderful experience, but without any fish. And the last one, search online. Right, we've probably done this before, but the mood is be flexible. So I found a spot online and went and visited on a weekend, a Saturday, and this is what I found. Nothing wrong with this. A lot of people were catching fish, and there was a lot of people. This wasn't the experience that I was looking for, so I kind of hung out for a little bit and, you know, kind of moved on. So I was just trying to remain flexible at that time. Another time I did an internet search, was willing to drive a little further, came on this. It's a nice spot. It was rated well, people recommended it, and it was gorgeous. So just a quick breakdown. 3 methods and moods, right? Try a spot, ask a friend, internet search. These moods, be ready, be down, be flexible. None of these are exclusive to each other in terms of moods, but really just I hope to edify you all with this to kind of embody these attitudes, these moods as you explore fishing more and more, because they will serve you to make sure that all of these experiences, some not so great, some really great, but they were all successful, regardless of if I caught a fish or not. So just wanted to break this down. There's always a reason to keep going, right? Sometimes you just got to find out what it is. So when it comes to finding a place to fish, just like in life, you got to keep trying new things. Keep going, find a place or a few places that you like. And I dig this picture. All right. Secondly, I wanted to kind of transition to sharing some skills with you. And I'm going to stop sharing this for a second. Just want to check in, make sure you all are doing well. If you have any questions, please put them into the chat. And thank you. Thank you for spending time. Hopefully you're enjoying this. So I'm going to share at this point a website from the Department of Fish and Wildlife where we have some videos that provide fundamentals on fishing. So let me pull that up for you. Right. Okay. So hopefully this comes through. This is a California Department of Fish and Wildlife website. You can see the address at the top there. And these are some Learn to Fish videos. I'm going to pull, you can see them here. You can see them here. How to cast with a closed bail reel, how to rig your line for bluegill or trout, how to tie a Palomar knot. I wanted to make sure you saw these to make sure that we'll pull one up. We'll start. We will not be looking at that right now. So there's a location that you can find this, and I could send out this link. We can make sure this link gets to you all so you have access to it. And let me, okay. So coming back to you, I have one more section that I want to explore with you. I wanted this idea of identity. So it's, as I said before, I'm a Chicano man. I'm a husband and a father. I'm a outdoor enthusiast. So this next story kind of provides this opportunity where I didn't really realize it at the time, but looking back on it, that all of these kind of identities were really woven into this this opportunity in the story that I shared with my wife. So let me pull this up for you. Yeah, hold on. Okay. So as we look at this video, it's about 5 minutes long. I want you to think about, and you can put this in the chat too. You know, what is your identity or identities? And how, as you begin to fish more and more, work out on your skills and increase in confidence, how will your identities be woven together as you begin fishing? And as you continue to fish, if you fish quite a bit.
Not so long ago, the opportunity arose, the stars aligned, where me and mi esposa had an opportunity to take a date night. We had a sitter for the children. It's been a while since we had the opportunity to go out together. So I started thinking of ideas. Nah, no way. That's pretty good. So I was cool with the idea of going to a restaurant, but I was concerned about COVID. So I decided to take a look at my checking account and see what was happening. So then I went to look at my savings account. So after that, I was back at square one. But then I had a brilliant idea. Plus, it would be a great opportunity to show mi esposa a thing or two about fishing. Okay, my love, I'm going to show you how to fish. I'm going to teach you how to cast. This is a good point to check in with Pam and see what she's thinking.
There he goes again, mansplaining.
So this is called a fishing pole, and we use this to fish. On the fishing pole is a reel that holds the line. The line has a hook at the end of it, and on there, that's what goes in the water and how we hook fish. So to cast, you want to hold the line against the pole right here and lift this part of the reel. This loosens the line so that when you make the motion, it will cast out. So you want to be continuing to hold the line, and you want to look around. You got to be safe. It's an important thing to be safe. You don't want to catch someone or hook someone. So safety is important, especially at this stage of fishing. So it's like throwing a rock. Have you thrown a rock or maybe a ball before?
Yes.
Okay, good. So this seems like another good place to check in with Pam and see what she's thinking.
Oh my goodness. What am I, in kindergarten? Are you kidding me right now?
As you throw, like a throwing motion, right about the time you would release a ball or a rock is the time when you would release the line. And at that moment, you release the line, let it continue to go out, and that's how you cast. And that'll get us started fishing.
Got it. I think I might have some. Whoa! I think I got something. Oh my gosh, it's like really hot. Oh my god, whoa! Whoa, whoa! Oh, look! I got one! Babe, I got one!
Whoa, that's great, man! All right!
Yeah!
Nice. Is that the first fish you ever caught?
No.
That's great, babe!
Yeah, yeah! Hey babe, look! I think I'm done. I caught my limit. How many have you caught?
Let's pause and see what's going through Richard's head right now.
Oh, okay. You're doing great. Hey babe, it's getting kind of late. I think it's time to go.
I think I got one. I think I got a big one. Man. Never mind.
Babe, it's time to go. It's getting late.
Oh. Wait, I got something. I got something for real. For real. Oh, you gotta check that out, baby. Did you see that? Did you see that fish? Give me. Woo! Oh, look at this one.
Okay.
Moonwalk. Moonwalk, baby. Moonwalk. We do the fish walk. Yeah, for real this time. Ooh, sight. Ooh, that was a catch, baby. That was a catch. I wasn't gonna go home empty-handed.
Can I go check it out?
Yeah, go check that out, baby. It's a great catch.
All right. Good catch, babe.
I had a great time, mi amor.
Me too. We should do it again sometime.
That's good. How about some fish tacos for dinner?
That sounds really delicious.
All right. So that was just a little story that me and my wife shared, and we went home, made some fish tacos for dinner after that, and she was the hero. She brought home the catch. But just some ways that tied together those identities that I share, that have formed me, and that how fishing has really kind of solidified those in my life. And I get to share those stories, and I get to share that with my family, with my wife, with my children. So thank you all for your time. I've had a blast. Hope you enjoyed those stories, and continue to explore fishing. Just go out and try it, and explore how your identities get woven into this amazing recreation that we call fishing. Thank you.
Thanks, Richard. That was awesome. Got a great look, you guys, at a CDFW employee and their super professionalism dancing away. It's a hidden gem that only a few of you got to see, which is great. So thanks so much, Richard, for that. That was really wonderful. And just seeing I think especially like you were saying during COVID and money's tight for a lot of people, and these outdoor sports and fishing particularly can be a great way for couples and families to connect, right now. So I think that's awesome. Thank you for showing that. And the dancing was just, thank you for that. We're going to go ahead and we're going to move it over to Brian Young. So if Brian can get on here. There he is. All right. Thank you, Brian, for being on. Go ahead and take it away. Brian, you are muted. Let's see. Let's see if we can get you unmuted.
There we go. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for coming in for the inaugural R3H3 kind of group here. My name is Brian Young. I am the fishing city coordinator down in region 5, the South Coast region. One of the things that for fishing, for me, is a lot about memories. One of the best memories, one of the first memories I have of fishing, and for everybody out there, that's new to fishing, one of your first fish are always be cemented in your head, in your mind about, that great memory. Memories of, me going to the creek with my brother and my uncle taking us out that day, and later memories of me falling into the creek and having to be fished out by my uncle. And then, going to another spot and me soaked to the bone, looking, and just still wanting to fish, and, on it with a stick and a string, still being able to catch, as many fish as my brother and my uncle that day, and actually caught the first 2 fish of the day. So, it's all about those kind of memories that of, friends, family, and being, or even sometimes being by yourself. Okay, so I'm going to be taking care of some of the technical stuff. We'll try to make it fun and add some stories as well. Okay, so I'm not able to screen share right now. Bridget.
Sorry, Brian. Hold on one sec. We'll get that fixed for you.
Oh, there we go. Okay. So, for first-time fishermen, one of the things you want to do is make sure you don't break the bank. You can't, which is easily done, and you can, just like any other new endeavor. But there's certain specific gear that you have to that you have to get in order to fish. Let's see. Okay, so let's see if this works. But how do we get started? First, you got to ask yourself some questions. What kind of fish are you gonna? What kind of fish are you gonna be fishing for? Are you gonna fish saltwater or freshwater? I think everybody's seeing me. All right. are you going to be angling, which means using fishing poles or traps? One of the what your target species is going to be, and where do you live is an important thing. Case in point, I grew up in Northern California, and when I moved down to Southern California and went on a charter boat with some friends, first 2-3 trips didn't catch a thing. Couldn't figure out why. When we go up to charter boats in Northern California, I'd be, limit out, you'd do great. Couldn't figure out why wasn't catching anything. And it wasn't until the third trip when one of the friends took pity on me and said, that doesn't work down here. And I had to, it was like, blew my mind. I was using the wrong techniques, but no one, I think my friends were having a good time watching me fumble around using Northern California techniques in Southern California. After that, things started getting a little better. So it's real important. On as far as, like I said, angling or, using fishing rods or traps, some of my best memories are up in Humboldt State, studying while I have a crab trap in the water for Dungeness crab, or some early memories of fishing for crab with the family at 7th Street Pier in Oakland. So things like that are questions you're going to have to ask yourself. But at the end of the day, especially when you're starting out, go cheap. Go be as frugal as possible, especially nowadays. Things are a lot more. Money's getting tight nowadays, so be frugal whenever possible. So good places to find gear are local sporting goods stores. In Walmart. In Southern California, we have a place called Turner's Outdoorsman. A lot of these places are great places to find gear, but do what you can to check out the clearance racks. Look for specials, especially if you're planning on getting your whole family involved in fishing. It's going to be it's going to add up quick. That. Okay, so let's start with reel type. Well, if you've never fished before, there's a lot out there, and it can get confusing. So do your homework a little bit. Okay, hope you guys can see the lasers here. A lot of kids and beginners actually, we start out with the spin cast reel here. The pros for that are that they're really inexpensive. They're easy to use, super easy to use, great for teaching kids. But there are some downsides. One, they're not made as high a quality as other fishing gear. They're just not. They won't hold up over time. That kind of don't expect to hand down those reels to the next people, to the next generation. The other issue with these is that they don't do well in salt water. They're made for the freshwater usage. Salt water will deteriorate the inside super quick. Third problem with the third thing with a con, I guess, is that they don't have a big spool. So if you've snagged up a couple of times, you're going to quickly eat into that spool, and pretty soon you're going to cast and you'll short cast. You'll see your line go out, and then the bait just drop. So those are some things to keep in mind. The next one, the next on the kind of ease of use is the spinning rod. Now, the good thing about the spinning rod is it's compatible for with most rods. The line, most lines and lures, you have no problem with it. They're effective, easy to cast, and you can get them on a budget. They're also usable in ocean waters, even if they're ones that you see for in freshwater. I have some that I use that, you know, I go to the coast with and fish shorefish with. You just got to rinse them out real good. There are downsides. They're not as effective with big fish. They don't, you know, big fish will, you know, can really, you know, tear up your reel. They're not quite as easy to control for beginners. But they're not. But a lot of us, this was our first reel, and in teaching one-on-one, the spinning reel is great. But I work in a program where sometimes we're 10 kids to every host, and once that happens, trouble can ensue. Okay. Next on the list is bait casters. Now we're getting into, this is definitely gear that you need to be that needs practice. On top of that, there's also conventional reels, which are made for purpose-built for ocean waters. But again, practice. Also, the third is fly reels. Probably the most experience needed out of all of them. For beginning anglers, I always recommend spinning rod. All right. Okay, so connecting, making that connection. How do you know you got the right reel and rod? Well, if you look at the reel, especially in the spinning reel here, on the spool, you'll see a set of numbers. And if you look, here's the legend over here. It's hard to see, but if you see this number here, that's 6. That 6 stands for 6-pound test. And 210, that's how many yards of line it has. And also here's an 8 over here, and then I think it says 170. It's really hard to capture that. So if you look on the side of your rod, you'll actually see some numbers as well. 6'6", 6 foot 6 inches. That's how tall the rod is. Medium action. That's good all around action. For beginners, for anyone, I love medium action. But this is important right here, 6 to 14 pound. That's what the manufacturer suggests for the pound rating for the line. So this number matches up with this number. So, you know, it should be a good match there. The last number is the size lure, or how much weight you can have on the line for sinkers and whatnot before, you know, it starts having effect on the casting. Okay, so next question is, should you buy a combo or buy it separately? Buying the combo, buying it separately is great because you get the exact gear you want, but it can be expensive. And we're trying to go frugal here. So if you can, I always tell people to opt for the combo. As a matter of fact, this is a combo setup here. I got it for about 25 bucks. The good thing about combos also is they'll sometimes tell you what kind of fish that the manufacturers specified the group for. Here you see it's made for catfish. It even comes with a little tackle box. If you're just starting out, you don't have a tackle box, it's nice to get one free of charge. One thing I will tell you though, if you get one of the combos and it does pull line on there for you, do yourself a favor, peel off the first 50 feet or so. What's going to happen is they wound that so tight that when you cast out, it's a good chance you get a backlash. So if you take off that first 50 feet, you'll make room for that as the line expands and to keep that from happening. That's not to say you can't get bite piecemeal for a budget, but usually for beginning anglers, I recommend the combo. Okay. Now we go to the line. You're going to hear stuff like monofilament, braided line, spider wire, weighted line, float line, fluorocarbon. What does all that mean? For beginning, do yourself a favor, just stick with monofilament, especially the rod I just showed you, 6'6", 6 to 14 pounds, 6 to 8 pounds, 6 to 14 pounds. The rod can probably handle a little bit more than that, but 8 pounds is a good starting weight for most things you're going to catch in inland waters. So stick with just stick with monofilament. It's also cheaper, way cheaper than braided line or fluorocarbon. Okay, next up, we now come to the tackling the tackle. You're going to go to a store, it's going to look like this. It's going to be overwhelming. Do yourself a favor, ask the attendant. A lot of times the stores like Bass Pro Shop or Turner's have experienced fishermen on staff. They can help you out. But places like Walmart often don't. So go in, take a look around, and start looking for, start with the rod. Like I said, a 6 foot to 7 foot rod, medium action. And then, look at the line rating, buy some line from there. One of the things you have to be careful, though, is that, you're going to go there, you're going to buy all this great stuff, you're going to spend some money, but tackle box like this can quickly look like this. And it's just, in a span of one trip, the bite's on, you're trying to catch, you're trying to find the right bait everybody else is using, and suddenly your box explodes. So when in reality, what you really need is, it's what you want versus what you need. A basic beginner's tackle box, this is all it is. Some bobbers, some sinkers, some hooks. I prefer snelled hooks that are pre-tied, and so get yourself some snap swivels, little ones, some sort of needle nose pliers or something. I like these. I prefer these here. They're kind of like the clamps with the built-in scissors. You get them usually $10, $12 at most sporting goods stores. They're great. When I'm fishing, I just clip it to a pocket or something, and it's good. And it's important to have a stringer or something to put your fish on when you catch them. All right. So the question being, like I said, being frugal. Do you have the money? If you don't, how do you make the money? Well, when you go get that cup of coffee in the morning, if you do it every morning, you start thinking to yourself, is it coffee time? I don't know. Maybe not. If you can save that cup of coffee, pocket that money, put it in an envelope, you saved yourself $5. Or when you go out to lunch, should you? Maybe not. Maybe try going to lunch tomorrow. If you have coffee one day, go to lunch, and then forego coffee and have lunch the next day, then 2 days you save $15. 2 more days you save $30. Pretty soon, bang! Before long, you have money. And that one combo I showed you was sold for $35. So you have that money in pretty short order. Let's see. Look for clearance. Like I said, look for clearances. Let's see. I think that's about it. Some other things here. Let me get out of here. All right. So some other things we have to talk about. As far as bait, we get a lot of questions about bait. Best thing to do is, this one is purely you have to do your homework. Like I said, fish act differently, can act differently in different parts of the state. The different types of species, the reel you're using, all can affect the outcome. How to use the bait, as far as if you're going to use lures or something, there's a learning curve. But if you can, stick to worms. Worms are great. Worms and bobbers. Catch a ton of fish that way. Colors are important too. A lot of times, colors will look differently in other areas, or can affect the outcome. Let's see. Now fishing is perishable skills. Sometimes so before you go out, practice. Get that, I like to put a hula hoop or a bucket out and practice casting a few times. So, to get myself dialed in. I used to know one of my professors used to practice fly fishing out in his front yard just because he knew he was getting ready for the season. Knots are important too. The knot you tie could mean the difference between landing a fish or not landing a fish. You'll hear stuff like Palomar, improved clinch knot, uni knot, nail knot, blood knot. These all have things because monofilament line isn't like tying your shoelaces. You have to have, if you tie those kind of knots that you use to tie your shoelaces, you'll crimp the line and you'll lose line strength and kind of places for the line to break when you have a fish on. So look those up. You can find those how to tie the two best knots I like for inland fishing are the Palomar knot and the improved clinch knot. You'll find those on our website at www.wildlife.ca.gov and click on learning, and you'll follow it to fishing in the city, and that's where the fishing videos are. Okay, that's all I have. You have hand it back over to Bridget.
Yeah, hi. Thanks so much for all that, Brian.
That was a lot. I'm sorry. I hope it wasn't too dry for people.
Oh no, it was great. I think people learned. I learned a ton, absolutely. So, and I think the thing that you were talking about spending the money on the coffee versus the lunch. That coffee's only going to last you about 10 minutes, where that fishing reel could last you years.
Yeah.
And you can be out fishing and feeding your family and
absolutely
putting that on the table for years to come. So saving that money for a week could actually feed your family for years.
Sure.
So
that combo I showed, I've had for almost 10 years, and it's functions great. Take it out whenever we go. It definitely the expenditure of funds over time. Fishing can definitely be a great way to, you're right, feed the family and have great recreation.
Definitely. So I'm going to have Richard come up too real quick, and we're going to get some do a Q&A from some of the questions that came up in the chat. So one of the first questions that came up, and this may be for you, Richard, I don't know, but does CDFW still stock Sacramento City ponds?
Yes, we do. There are 6 ponds that we're currently stocking regularly. They are Mather Regional Park, North Natomas Regional Park, Granite Regional Park, Oak Grove, and what am I missing? Hagen Park and Howe Park. All those urban ponds we are stocking regularly.
Awesome. Thank you so much. There was another good question about if there's any advice on how to find basically like a local fishing club in your area to join so that you can kind of learn from others, find places, and network with people who fish. Is there a good recommendation? I know you talked about looking online and in your area.
Yeah, you know what? You can for a lot of times find links to or information about those clubs at larger sporting goods stores. Places like not Big Five, but Bass Pro Shop often have literature on them. You can also just do web search for fishing clubs in my area, and some should pop up. Not all of them have web presence, so sometimes it's gonna take a little bit of a search.
Yeah, local tackle shops are a good place to get connected with those groups. And online, there's FishBrain and Fishity, which kind of function as these social media kind of platforms where you can get connected with anglers in your area.
Great. And we'll try to provide those too, I think afterwards. We'll try to come up with a resource list for people that attended the event and get that to them. Is there like a dictionary where I can learn kind of all the fishing terms, because it's kind of hard to understand the difference between like the tackle and techniques and all the different terms? Is there like a dictionary that I can find?
Yeah, his name is Brian Young.
So
Or
everyone
Richard
like that
Munoz. Actually, each tackle manufacturer usually publishes some sort of um, list of their tackle. I know Rapala used to. They used to have this thick book of all their tackle. They didn't necessarily tell you how to use it. And sometimes that's where asking the pro at the store can really help. Or you know what, YouTube is great for that. But there's always going to be that bridge between what you learn and you actually doing it. So putting it into practice is going to be important.
Right. Definitely. Brian, you had said the term medium action. What does that mean?
Okay, so the action on a rod, there's the three basic ones are light, medium, and heavy, or slow, medium, and fast. It kind of breaks down where the rod bends. A light rod will bend way down near the handle. You'll see the light bend way over. A medium will bend halfway up, and a heavy will bend near the tip. Generally, the light action is good for chatterbaits and for a lot of lures, or for trout, for light fish. Medium is good, versatile. That's why I prefer medium especially for people that's just starting out, because it gives you that feel a little bit of that whippiness for small fish, and using other learning how to use artificial lures, but also gives you a little bit stiffer for some bigger fish like catfish or bass or carp. And it provides that good place to learn. Stiffer rods definitely have the most sensitivity. So when you're trying to catch fish that are elusive on the bite, those stiffer rods can be helpful, or big swim baits, big heavy swim baits, like that extra backbone in the rod will help you cast out larger baits.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So someone had a question. They said that when they're out fishing, whether with their family, a lot of times the line will come off of the spinning reel during like windy conditions. Is there any way to keep that from happening? Like as far as when you're in these certain windy conditions and you have the line come off the spinning reel, is there anything you can do to kind of any tricks you guys know to keep that from happening?
Well, I'm assuming that you're talking about like after you cast, and the only way to do that is that after you cast, once the line stops paying out, that means that your bait has reached the targeted depth. Give your handle a couple cranks to tighten up the line. And once you tightened up the line on the spool, it'll keep it from billowing off.
Sounds good. And then another person had asked, and I think this is a really good question too, regarding like limits and things. How many fish can I catch? And doesn't matter what kind. Because I know a lengthy answer, right? Depending on the species.
Well, it's a big question, because it depends on the specific species. It depends on whether or not you're fishing freshwater or saltwater. So it's really a vague question. Generally, when I get that question from people, my very next question is, what are you fishing for?
Right.
Because otherwise I can spend an hour talking about limits of fish, but when in reality the person wanted to know the limit for bluegill. Well, they don't need to know the limit on leopard shark if they're just looking for bluegill. So it would help us if we knew what species they were looking for.
Right. So, and I think basically, I guess where would we point that person? Is that just kind of like looking at the rules and regs then?
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Right. And that's one fundamental we haven't really mentioned, but familiarizing yourself with the rules and regulations for the body of water where you're going, the limits, the sometimes there's limitations on the types of hooks that you can use. So making sure you're familiar with all of those as you get going.
Do
Yeah,
the
this is
limits
what-
ever change, you guys, on fish? Like, does the species, depending on how many there are, can the limits change, like by year or season?
They can.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important to do your homework. I mean, and you know, it's always important to know what the rules are before you go fishing. The good thing is that we all carry around. Well, you can't see it, but you all carry around supercomputers in our pockets nowadays, and you can link the department's regulations, bookmark them on your phone, and then this way you always have a copy. And you know, you can look stuff up while you're out in the field.
Right. And I just wanted to let everyone know too that's on the call, as far as the attendees, we will be sending out tips on fish identification and resources following the presentation. Someone did have a question on how can you keep your bobber from flying off after you cast?
Good question.
Well, I mean, there's the thing is that there's a lot of different types of bobbers. I like using, if you remember the PowerPoint I showed, you saw the little plastic bobbers. I like those because they have a little hook on the brass hook on the top and bottom. And so if you wind the line around that hook, and then, you know, it's spring loaded. So then if you line around both top and bottom hooks, it shouldn't come off. But you never say never. Things happen while you're out in the field. That's why it's always good to have a couple extra. I know there are some that require, you know, you spin the line, and I've seen those back off from time to time. But you know, try to see if there's, like I said, look for those little brass hooks, and that should help the situation.
Great, thanks. I'm gonna try to get in one or two more questions. What type of bait is good for beginners, and what if I don't want to touch something that's alive? Any tips on taking a live fish off the hook without touching it? So that was kind of a three-parter. What's the best bait for beginners? What do I do if I don't want to touch something alive? And how do I get a live fish off the hook without touching it?
It depends on what you're fishing for. But let's say for trout, power bait, just a little, it's like Play-Doh that stinks and is brightly colored, and the fish have a good chance to find it. That's where I would start someone if they're trying to catch trout.
If you're fishing for catfish, you know what? I see if you, people go use chunks of hot dog. One of the baits that I like to use, and it's actually relatively inexpensive, is especially when some stores always got a sale on shrimp. Buy a pound of raw shrimp, you know, keep it frozen, and you know, cut it up into little bits, and those make, you know, that has a good smell for the fish, you know, for what they're looking for, and it's easy to put on. They're not going to be squiggly around. They're not, you know, so you know, it's not live. It'll stay on your hook for a good long time. The bonus is if it's long, you keep it frozen. If whatever you don't use for fishing, you can turn around and use it for dinner.
Right. Just hit up the Sizzler. All you can eat shrimp. Bring what's
That's right.
Right. What's the most ethical way to dispatch a fish if you do want to keep it, or if you don't? Actually, I guess both. It kind of answers both questions. But if you want to keep it, what's the most ethical way? Or if you're doing, you know, catch and release?
Well, if you're not going to keep it, then you release it right away. As soon as you get it in, release it. That's the most ethical way to do it. As far as if you're going to keep the fish, a lot of times people will put them in their cooler, have a separate cooler, and you know, the fish will, you know, pass slowly. Some people prefer to do it quickly, and it's called piffing. They sever the spinal column. We are harvesting a live animal, so the quicker the quicker that you do it, the better. So the animal doesn't languish.
Right. Okay. Wow. Thanks you guys so much for this. I I want to kind of conclude with telling the audience that we're going to be adding resources to the R3 page. We'll also be sending out some links, with the email after this. And then if anyone has, questions, you can always email us as well. But the R3 will have all these links. And then I know, Brian, you had mentioned going to the main learning page and in the wildlife.ca.gov/learning, and then going down to the fishing in the city.
Right.
And then you can click on that and also find a lot of this information that we've been talking about today as well.
Right. That's where Richard was trying to show the videos from. Those videos are there.
Right.
It'll also, when things change and we come out of COVID and we can have events again, that's where you'll find fishing events that are sponsored by Fishing in the City, and other resources. I know Richard has a great section on where to fish in that area. We're trying to build that for our area as well. So there are some resources there for the public.
Great. Thanks, you guys. So just to reiterate as well as to the audience and everyone, this is being recorded and it will be uploaded to the R3 page. So you can always go back if you had, if you missed any of the answers to the questions or wanted to know more. That's a great place to check out. And that's at wildlife.ca.gov/R3. And then we're always here if you need us for anything. Thanks, Brian, again, and Richard for being here today. Really appreciate you guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks,
Yeah,
guys.
thank you.
First Harvest Huddle Hour.
Woo!
Nice. All right, you guys, we'll see you soon. And then also we will be posting future events. So for anyone who's on the call still, my apologies, I should have mentioned this a little earlier. We will be posting future Harvest Huddle Hours on the R3 page on the calendar. So check back on that next week. We're hoping to have another one in September. So thanks again, everybody. Talk to you soon. Bye.